So about 10 weeks ago, I tore my ACL playing football. It was one of the last games of the season, and I just play recreationally in sort of like a beer league or whatever it's called in English, Korpen in Swedish. One of the last games of the season, I was going up for a header, and I got sort of like a push mid-air, lost my balance, and when I was going to land, I landed really awkwardly on my left leg, and my knee sort of like caved. I don't exactly remember how it happened because I have sort of like a blackout for 5 seconds there. I remember watching my leg as I landed super awkwardly. I heard sort of like a cracking noise, like cracking of a tree branch is the best description I can give of it. And I felt sharp pain immediately, so I sort of screamed. But then the pain got sort of manageable, and I didn't really think anything serious happened because I could put some pressure on my leg. It wasn't like entirely gone. So I went home that night and I slept kind of okay. Woke up the next day, like my mobility in the leg was really limited. I could barely bend it, and I could straighten it somewhat, but I could barely bend it at all. I called up a physiotherapist, went to see him, and he told me that I probably have a torn ACL, but he couldn't really confirm it because I was so tense. I couldn't really relax in the leg, so he couldn't do all of his tests properly. So he ordered an MRI for me, which confirmed that the ACL was fully torn, which, yeah, that was devastating for me. Not because I have sort of like some athletic aspirations or anything. I just want to be able to live a normal life, and an ACL is like a life-altering injury. I mean, it's not the worst injury you can get, but it's still life-changing because ACLs generally don't heal by themselves. Very rarely do they sort of reattach, and I have no hope that mine will. So there's basically two ways you can go. You can go rehab only, which is called a conservative approach, or you can do a reconstructive surgery. So the surgery is not actually fixing the ACL, the ligament. It's actually replacing the ligament with a graft from somewhere in your body, from your hamstring or your quadriceps or your patella tendon, and yeah, using that as an ACL. Everyone who's a professional athlete basically does that surgery, but I'm not a professional athlete. I'm not even an athlete. I'm almost not even an athlete. I'm sort of like a semi-active person, but nothing more than that. So I didn't really feel like doing the surgery immediately. It's a really long rehab process, and I wanted to exhaust all the like natural recovery and rehab options first, because I can always do the surgery at a later stage. I can never take back a surgery, but I can always do it later. And that was my sort of thought process in the beginning, and I was actually making quite good progress. I mean, the first 2 weeks were really tough. I could barely walk. I had a huge limp, but I could like get from point A to point B, but it was really difficult. So the first phase of rehab, the first 2 weeks basically consisted of 3 or 4 things. First, it was trying to flex my quads by doing so-called quad sets, where you just try to flex your quads. That's the only thing you can do, because when you get an injury like this, you sort of lose the connection to your muscles around the knee, the hamstrings, and the quads and the calves. So regaining quad strength is super important, and quad sets was one of those. And then trying to regain mobility as well. So since I could barely bend the knee, I did an exercise called a heel slide, where I lie down on the floor and put a towel under my heel and try to slide it towards me. And in the beginning, I could barely do any of that. After around 2-3 weeks, I sort of regained a lot of mobility by doing that exercise. I also walked backwards a lot, because that's supposed to be very good rehab for the knee, and it was actually easier to walk backwards than to move forward. Yeah, that helped me a lot as well. And the last thing I did during the first couple of weeks was to just sit on an exercise bike really high up, so I didn't have to have that big of a range of motion, and just get some exercise in on the bike. So I'm not gonna go into depth about what the ACL is and what it does. There are a lot of good videos on that, but it's basically a very important ligament in the knee that helps stabilize the entire leg. It's really essential for for a well-functioning knee. So as I said, after about 3 or 4 weeks, I could sort of walk normally. I still have a limp even 10 weeks in, but I don't think other people see that I have a limp. I think it's only me that actually feels that putting down my left leg feels a bit differently than putting down my right leg. But I don't think it's visible for others. But after 4 weeks, I started focusing more on strength and balance. So I started going to the gym. I started using exercise bands, doing a lot of different exercises with the bands, both for mobility and strength, and also doing some dynamic balance exercises, which have helped me a lot. And I noticed that my balance in the left leg, which I injured, my injured leg is the left leg, is much worse. But yeah, that's basically where I'm at right now, just trying to strengthen my leg and regain balance. And as I said, I'm 10 weeks in now, 10 weeks post-injury, and I haven't really decided on if I'm going to do the surgery or not yet. It sort of depends. I think the function of the knee is fine. I think I can live with the function, but I can't live with the pain. Because from time to time, some days I don't really have any pain, but if I put a lot of stress on my knee, if I walk a lot or exercise or stand a lot, I do have quite a lot of pain. So I'm leaning towards surgery right now, but I'm going to make my final decision after 6 months of rehab, because I think that's sort of like the point where it can't really get any better by only rehab after 6 months. Then you kind of know what you have and what it will feel like. That's where I'm at right now. So yeah, I just want to make a short video on this, talking about my injury, because I know a lot of other people is going through the same thing. I know a lot of athletes are getting the surgery, but maybe there are non-athletes like me out there with an ACL injury, wondering what to do and wanting to hear other people's stories. I'm in no way giving any advice or anything. You have to make that decision yourself together with your orthopedic surgeon and physiotherapist. But I'm just here to tell my story, what I'm going through, and hopefully it can help someone. And just reach out to me in the comments, ask me any questions you might have, and I will happily answer them. We'll see what happens, and I will continue with this sort of video series here, my ACL Chronicles. To see where I'm at, maybe in like a month or so, do monthly updates, and then whether or not I decide to get surgery. The physical pain and like lack of function is one thing, but the mental side of it is hard. It's really hard, because I think of it as like it was so unnecessary. I mean, I didn't have to go up for that duel. I didn't have to go up for that header. There's like no real reason. It just happened. I mean, I'm 31 years old. I've played a lot of sports in my life without ever getting injured. I mean, I guess it was bound to happen at some point, but the mental struggle is, yeah, it's hard to deal with, because you feel like this is such a serious injury. It's altering your life, and it's gonna take, if I do the surgery, it's gonna take me a year to get back. A lot of it is gonna be spent in pain and in rehab. It's gonna be very lonely. I mean, rehab is a lonely place. I'm actually gonna say that I'm actually proud of myself, because I haven't really complained a lot about it. Even when I have pain, I try to keep quiet about it. And I try to just try to get better every day. Try to go to the gym as much as I can, do rehab exercises, and still try to remain active and positive, which can be really tough. But I think that's helped me a lot, because if you get this type of injury, it's easy to just break and go down a dark place. And luckily I haven't done that yet. I mean, that can still come, but I managed these first 2 months here, which I'm really happy about. And we'll see what happens going forward. So yeah, thank you for watching this video.